Video kind of laying out my plans for the end of year for all of my stores and what's going on. Before I do that, I did want to show this right here on my wall. So I got a really cool Groupon. Let me see if I can back that out there. This was only $30. Typically these 3-panel canvas panels are upwards of $200, $300 to get a custom one. This is actually my Pittsburgh store. Really nice job by their username is CanvasOnSale, and if you just search one custom 36 by 24 3-panel canvas, it should come up. But not sponsored by them or anything. I got it from my home office and it looks awesome, you know. And I think they have a few different sizes. They have a really big one, a 60 by 40. That's $53, which is typically like in the 500s, I think. So I think it looks really cool. My dog Brody just brought me a ball because he wants to play. And he heard me say play. Yeah, he heard me say it again. So what's going on right now is, if you didn't know or haven't seen any of my previous videos, I have 6 Quick Lube locations, and it's my primary business. It's my main business. It's what I spend, 95% of my time awake thinking about is that business. And so previously, when I first started the first location in Harrisburg, I was still working in the financial sector, and I wasn't looking to leave the financial sector, so I actually set it up as a C Corp because I didn't want to have it as pass-through income. I wanted to have complete separation of my personal liability from the business. So what I did was I set up as a C Corp, so all I was a W-2 employee to the business. And that kind of, without that coupled with not signing any personal guarantees on anything I did with the business, I was pretty much indemnified from any kind of issues that could happen from that business if it failed while I was still working. The C Corp, because of the new tax law that President Trump's trying to pass, I'm going to probably stay as a C Corp, but as I open new locations, each location was opened up as an additional C Corp because of either I brought investors in or I was just completely trying to separate each location from the last location for liability purposes. So right now what I'm going through is the separation of each of the corporations, and we're going to be under one corporate entity, which will do a few different things, which I'll get into. First and foremost, the consolidation of the businesses will get rid of redundant payments. I've got 5 different QuickBooks subscriptions. I got 5 different ADP subscriptions. I've got 10 different policies, insurance policies. All of this will be able to come under one roof. Now, because the nature of my locations being in 4 different states, I have employees in 4 different states. There are certain things that will still be separate, but it will all funnel through the one EIN number. Now, because of this, instead of having 4 or 5 stores that do 200, 300, 400,000 in revenue, it's going to be the 4 or 5 stores that all pass through the revenue to the operating account, which then gives me buying power, it gives me leverage with my vendors, because my purchases are going to be done through the corporate operating account. So filters, oil, things like that. Now, instead of having the appearance of buying, say, 10,000 filters a month times 5, it's going to be 50,000 filters a month times 1. Now, with that large monthly order coming through, that gives me negotiating power for better deals and things like that. So one of the most important things I need to make sure is no payroll goes through in 2018 for the existing corporations. I don't want to file W-2s come next end of year. double file W-2s, because the new employees are all, instead of being under their own entity right now, for an example, the employees in Pittsburgh, their employer is the Pittsburgh Oil Group. The employees in the Chicago store are Hellas Oil Group, and Harrisburg is the Capithanassus Oil Group, Capithanassus Group Incorporated. So now it's all going to be Costa Oils Incorporated. Costa Oils Incorporated, the one employer, I'm going to have 25 to 30 employees all under the same plan. This also leads to another perk, is I'll be able to do kind of benefits now. When each store only had 3, 4, 5 employees, that's not enough to get group rates on certain things like life insurance, health insurance, retirement accounts, things like that. It didn't make sense to do benefits, but now that everyone's going to be employed by the same corporation, we'll be able to do benefits for the employees, including the hourly employees, not just the salaried managers of the stores. So the key right now for me is I got to get all accounts paid, sales and use tax, employer withholding. I got to make sure everything is filed through the end of the year, tidied up, and closed out. So I got to fill out paperwork for each state and locality, close out all those accounts. Once those accounts are closed and those corporations have been dissolved, everything will be under the new corporation. The only other thing that's going on right now is we're switching from Wells Fargo to PNC. This is not an indictment of Wells Fargo. I actually like Wells Fargo despite them being in the news so negatively these past couple years. But PNC is in Ohio. PNC is in Chicago. PNC is in Pittsburgh. Wells Fargo is not in Ohio. Wells Fargo is not in Pittsburgh. So when I only had Dillsburg, Harrisburg, Hanover area, Maryland, Wells Fargo made sense because it was right there. And I actually had switched from Wells Fargo to a local bank, and I would prefer to be with a local bank. It was my local bank here in Carroll County, Maryland, called Carroll Community Bank. But we ran into a problem where their business banking didn't sync with QuickBooks, and so my transactions weren't getting put into QuickBooks, and I would have to do it manually, and that's just not, I don't have time for that. It's not worth it. Like, as much as I want to shop local, because I'm a big proponent of shop local, obviously, I want you to go to me versus like Valvoline or Jiffy Lube. I couldn't do it. I had to switch back to Wells Fargo. So PNC will allow me to have the same flexibility. It also takes the cash handling portion out of my hands. I don't like having this much cash just like laying around my house. This money doesn't belong to me. Like, the revenue is nice, but this cash doesn't belong to me. It's all it all belongs to the different stores, which means it belongs to the employees, and it belongs to my vendors, and it belongs to the governments that I owe taxes to. So the managers will all now get night drops, and this will actually help with accounting too, because instead of me, I only get out to Youngstown and Pittsburgh twice a month. Now I'm actually going to be able to have those cash deposits on a weekly basis, and it'll be better for accounting. Besides that, it's just a lot of paperwork, and it's just a lot of making sure, the toughest thing about closing a bank account is you can't have anything pending, or else the bank can't close the account. Can't withdraw too much money too soon, because then a payment comes through and then they hit you with a fee, or you get the maintenance fee, and then the account goes negative, and then there's a lot going on right now. So driving to Georgia on Wednesday to help out a friend, coming back from Georgia, and then the following week I'm driving to Maine to spend Christmas with my family. But I'll probably be doing a lot of work the whole time I'm there, which it is what it is. Part of the whole entrepreneur life is you're on call 24/7, so nothing. I do give paid holidays, and I do give the holidays off, so won't be too much going on, and things are relatively slow these days. We had our first real cold weather, and it really hurt us yesterday, and Friday is our best day, bar none, and we had a really weak Friday, just because when it gets cold, people don't run errands. Besides that, there's no other real projects going on. I mean, this is about as much work as I could probably handle right now anyway, so a new location did pop up in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, that I'm super excited about. I really hope that I get it. Camp Hill is a great area. It makes so much sense for the footprint. I'll finally be able to tie in 4 locations within a within a 25-minute driving radius. There's still this location in Lancaster, Pennsylvania that I've been working to get, but it's all going to be a matter of coming up with the money, because I put all the money back into the business. So like, it'll be interesting to actually see how much I paid myself last year. That's another thing about having 5 different corporations, is I'm a W-2 employee of the 5 corporations. So I'm going to get literally 5 W-2s this year, and they're all going to be like, I don't know, like 10 to 15 grand each, I think. I probably paid myself around 50 grand, I think. We'll see. It might be less, you know. It might be more. I actually don't know how much I paid myself, because for me, it's never been about the money. It's not about the money to me. It always is about growing the business and creating something sustainable, something that'll be around for a really long time. So that's it. That's an update. What's going on? Any questions? Feel free to hit me up. No longer using the Costa@capogroup.com email. Email me at costa@costaoils.com, COSTAOILS.com. Hit me up on any of the social media. It's all at Costa Capo. And hit up the individual pages. I did change up social media strategy a little bit. Instagram, each of the stores have their own page now rather than one account. Makes more sense, because you got to deal with, you want to interact with the local community. You don't want to, it just makes more sense that way. But that's for a different video. But that's it. Hope you guys have a great holiday. Hit me up, any kind of conversation about business. I could talk about it all day, any day. It's the best. Have a good one, and have a good one.